This story was submitted by Josie. I live in a small town outside Glasgow, Scotland. My parents gave me what they thought was a great childhood, but unfortunately I was being abused by my grandfather who lived 2 streets away from us, and who often looked after us on the weekends when my parents worked. I used to dread going to his house, as I knew what was in store for me, so I became a very quiet and shy loner. Thankfully, what was happening got found out when I was 10 years old, and it turns out he'd been doing it to my cousin too. He pled guilty to it at the last minute before any of us had a chance to go to court and testify, but it was extremely last minute, so I was prepped for court and I had to repeat it multiple times to people. It got to the point where I wanted to just run away and never see anyone else again. I often went on my bike rides around town as part of an escape, but also for peace. There I didn't have the pity faces of those around me who knew what happened to me. I isolated myself in order to protect myself. One Sunday evening, just after dinner when I was 11 years old, I went for a bike ride. It was nearing the end of the summer holidays. It had been a somewhat heat wave that summer for Scotland, but by the evening it had cooled down, so I decided to ride down to the BMX track. There were 2 ways to get there, and I decided to go the quickest, which was through a forest. I loved the quiet atmosphere, and hearing the birds sing, and the rustling of the woodland creatures running around. The path to the forest was at the end of the street, where the concrete path suddenly turned into a forest path, which was downhill the whole way. It was steep, and had a lot of turns as it led you down to the BMX track and railway bridge. Once I made it to my destination, I then had to go onto the track so I could then sit on the wall of the railway bridge for a little bit. As the sun began to get lower, I knew it was time to go home, so I hopped on my bike and headed for the forest path. I always struggled to cycle up that path as it was so steep, and the path was made from stones, so the surface wasn't exactly stable. I got off my bike halfway there and slowly walked up the hill. Suddenly a chill went through my body. There was a slight breeze at that moment, but it wasn't a cold one. I carried on walking when I heard twigs snapping in the main part of the forest, so I looked in the direction the noise came from. I didn't see anything, so I carried on walking, feeling very uncomfortable and paying very close attention to where the noises had come from. I heard more twigs snapping, and my head turned quickly to see what it was. I saw 3 men wearing dark coats. My first thought was wondering why these men were wearing coats on such a warm day. They were walking towards a part of the forest that is often used for a fire, located deeper into the forest off of the small path. By this point, curiosity got me, and I had stopped to watch what they were doing. Looking back, I don't know why. There were more men by the fire pit, again, all wearing the same dark coats. As the 3 men reached the others, they all nodded to one another and put their hoods up. The fire was already lit. I had always assumed it was teenagers using that fire pit, not grown men. I moved forward a bit to see better, and I kicked a small rock on the ground. All the men suddenly turned to me, and I could barely see their eyes, just their mouths. One of the men shouted something, and they all started running towards me. In sheer panic mode, I dropped my bike and I ran up the hill. I can still remember how my heart was beating like it was about to burst out of my chest as I bolted up that hill. I could hear them running after me, the stones on the path knocking against one another as we all ran. I was praying not to fall or slip on these stones. I came into the street where the path ended, and I hid under a tunnel just around the corner. I waited for them to run past me, or to run right into me, but nothing. I forced myself to look around the corner to see if they were there, but they were gone. They must have stopped chasing me when I got near the homes. I had never run so fast before, and my lungs felt like they were on fire. Each breath in and out was agonizing. I walked the long way back to my house to keep away from the main path in case they were still looking for me. When I got home, I realized I'd left my bike, and I knew my parents would be angry, but I also knew that they wouldn't believe me about the weird cult in the forest who had chased me. I was too scared to go back there by myself, so I found my big brother, who was 13 at the time, and asked him to help me come look for it. I told him someone had chased me and I had left my bike. He was with his friends, so I felt safer with all of them there. When we got to the path, I refused to go down it, so my brother and one of his friends went, while the other one stayed with me. 15 minutes later, they appeared and told me that my bike was on the still-lit fire, but there was no one else around. I am pretty sure that if my brother wasn't certain that I wasn't capable of starting a fire, he would have thought it was me who had started that fire and put my bike in it myself. My brother and his friends managed to put the fire out and pull my bike out of it, but it was badly damaged around the frame. The wheels and handlebars hadn't been in the fire, as it was only a small one, but the bike was still wrecked. We all walked back to our house, and I dreaded having to tell my parents what had happened to my bike. I told them the truth, but they didn't believe me about the men around the fire pit chasing me. I am 32 years old now, and it still bothers me from time to time, wondering what they were doing. It seemed like they were some weird cult thing to me, but it could have easily just been a gathering of men, all wearing the same coats, all with their hoods up, then chasing an 11-year-old girl for some reason. I don't buy that, though. If it was innocent, why chase me? What would they have done if they'd caught me? Needless to say, I never went near that forest path ever again, and strangely, neither did my brother. I am now a mom to a 7-year-old daughter, and I worry about her safety when she is out playing with her friends. I don't let her go anywhere I can't see her. Whether that is due to the abuse or the incident in the forest, I don't know. Maybe it's both. This story was submitted by Earth to Crystal. This happened yesterday at Walmart between 2 and 3 p.m. I'm 5'4", 112 pounds, and a mother of 2. My daughter is 6, and my son is 1. We just moved back to California from Washington in November because my boyfriend was getting out of the military. My boyfriend's parents sent our kids an $80 gift card to Walmart, so I decided to take them when my daughter got out of school. Wednesdays are half days at her school, so when she was done, we went down to our local Walmart. It was a nightmare. The whole place was under construction, from the parking lot all the way inside. We made our way inside, my son in the cart and my daughter next to me. We are looking at toys, shoes, etc. when my daughter says that she wants to get a purse, so we start looking for one. We ended up in the women's clothing area, which was also under construction. It looked like they had shoved everything into the corner, and there were areas you could easily get in and out of the blocked off construction areas. My daughter and I were laughing at the silly Christmas sweaters when I noticed a man about my age standing in the row behind us. He was a white guy, about 5'10" and over 180 pounds, with a shaved head and a blonde goatee. We continued to look at different stuff when I noticed the guy was following us. It was just me, my 2 kids, and this man. He starts pacing back and forth and takes his sweater off and puts it over his arms. That is when I noticed he had full tattoo sleeves on both arms. On his left, it looked like he had flames going up his arm. I noticed because I too am covered in tattoos. I grab my daughter and start walking away when he starts walking behind us, and I hear his camera go off a few times. I turn around and see his phone pointed at my daughter, and his sweater opened to where it looked like he was going to bag her and run. I gave him a dirty look and started walking fast, with a firm grip on my daughter's arm. I kept looking behind me, and he was still following us. I started weaving in and out of aisles trying to lose him, where I thankfully found a worker and told her what had happened. She grabs another worker, and I tell her the same thing. They both told me that they would report it to the management and that I could go. I immediately went up front, paid for my stuff, and left, and I made damn sure no one followed me to my car. As soon as I got home, I called Walmart and spoke to the manager. She said that they were aware of the situation that had happened, and she had looked at the surveillance footage. She said that the guy started following us as soon as we stepped into the store. She also said that she could tell the exact moment when he took a picture because of how I turned around and then booked it out of there. As soon as I got off the phone with her, I called the police and made a police report. I was such an easy target because I'm a small woman and I have 2 small children, one standing next to me and one in the cart. He could have easily taken her out that side that was under construction. Then what would I do? Leave my son in the middle of the store and chase after my daughter? Take my son with me? So many questions and what ifs. The scary part is that they couldn't find him in the store after that. I wish there was a way I could get the video to show everyone, but I'm just happy that my daughter is safe. It makes me sick to think that if I would have let her out of my sight, just for a second, how different that outcome would have been. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do.
L.
If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description on information on how to submit your stories. Now for the first story. I too am really curious as to what those men were doing. Maybe they would have been a cult, or maybe they were just a weird group of people. But as you said, if it was innocent, why would they chase you? It does leave a lot of questions unanswered, and I can definitely understand why you wouldn't want to let your child out of your sight afterwards. Now for the second story. Thankfully you were aware of your surroundings and were able to notice the guy just standing there. He probably did stick out a little bit because he was in the women's section, but at least you noticed that he kept following you everywhere as well. Fortunately you found a Walmart associate somewhere in the aisles, and you were able to voice your concerns. Unfortunately, like you said, you couldn't get the footage, so we can't exactly put him on blast, but hopefully the authorities do find him before he has a chance to take someone's little one. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.